now coming to cotton in Pakistan. Cotton in Pakistan has been produced, the statistic I wanted to add to here is, cotton in Pakistan is incredibly lucrative. Cotton is one of the main cash crops of Pakistan. We produce in millions bales of cotton that are processed through a value chain and then become part of our export economy. And it's assessed at some level that each million bales of cotton produced results in revenue generation in the region of $1 billion. Okay, so that's the rough estimate. So this is it's very valuable to us and to farmers and all the stakeholders involved in it. It's part of the national economy. It's a very important part of the economy. And the promise of BT cotton is just that by injecting the BT virus into the cotton gene, that is the sort of the impact that is not in nature, the cotton seed and the cotton plant will secrete the BT virus from every part of the plant throughout its growth cycle, and that this BT virus will provide the necessary amount of toxins to kill whatever pests come and inflict our cotton crop. So the promise to the farmer is that here's a seed that will reduce your pesticide costs, that will give you a stable and higher yield, and so this is something that is attractive to you. Next slide, please. Here's a chart of cotton production in Pakistan from 1960. The period I'm going to talk about is from the red line onwards. That's 2005 and onwards. That's the period, remember the biosafety rules were passed in 2005. So 2005 onwards is the period of GMO or BT cotton in Pakistan. And as Nausheen said, just over 80% of all cotton grown in Pakistan is BT cotton. And what you'll notice is that from 2005 onwards to 2016, the amount of cotton produced has never exceeded the single highest production of cotton before BT. The single highest level of production of cotton in Pakistan was in 2004, before the informal introduction of BT cotton. And I'd also like to point out that in the last 3 years, you'll notice a significant drop in cotton production. Now, there are various reasons for that. I'm not going to lay blame on BT cotton here. I want to say that very clearly. There are things such as climate change that are affecting crop productivity, okay, as well. We can't just ignore that factor as well. But that decline is significant because it has a significant impact on the revenues that Pakistan can generate through the processing and export of cotton. Now, the issue with BT cotton is, and this is a letter from the Office of the Director General Agriculture Research, issued in late 2014, titled The Possible Reasons for Flare-Up of the Pink Bollworm in Punjab During the Cotton Crop Season. I've highlighted some important parts. It says here that advanced generation BT cottons can give seasonal long control over all bollworms, whereas the toxic level in first generation BT cotton decreases after 90 days. And he says that in Pakistan what we have is first generation BT cotton. It has a toxin in it which is effective, but which sort of saps off after 90 days, and these bollworms are developing a resistance against it and destroying the crop. We should have second, third, fourth generation BT cotton crops because those may have enough toxins to be able to overcome this pest resistance. A survey conducted by scientists, research wing and laboratory tests using quantitative ELISA confirmed that high infestation of pink bollworms was due to a low level of BT toxin in early planted crop after 90 days of sowing. The pink bollworm attacked early sown BT cotton. Its toxic level was reduced at that time due to the age of the plant, and the pest population of early sown cotton was shifted from normal sown crop and caused a flare-up. So, according to this letter, one of the reasons for this decline, at least in 2014, in the cotton crop, was that the type of seed we were using, the type of GM seed that we were using, wasn't doing its job properly. It was supposed to kill these bollworms, and instead the bollworms developed a resistance, which actually is very dangerous, because now they're used to the toxin. It's a party for them now. Next slide, please. So how does this impact the environment? Or where's the legal framework from this? And I need to become a bit of a legal scholar here, so forgive me. In our system of government here in Pakistan, we've got the federal government in Islamabad and the provincial assemblies in the provinces. the manner in which the federal government and the provincial assemblies interact with each other, you have to understand, comes from the context of colonial rule in India. The English exercised through London control over Delhi and then the many states of India through a highly centralized federal system. And that's what we inherited after partition. And through successive military dictatorships, we've retained a highly centralized system. And it's no surprise that militaries are usually places where centralized decision making is favored. So, since pre-partition, one of the demands of the Muslim League was to decentralize power and give states more power. So the 18th Amendment of the Constitution of Pakistan in 2010 does that. It fulfills a long-standing demand of the provinces to be given more autonomy and power and to reorder the relationship they had with the federation. This was done, the legal means of doing so, was to remove something called the concurrent list. The concurrent list was a bunch of subjects, a bunch of issues that both provincial assemblies could legislate on and through which an imperial government in London could also pass laws on. So it was a way of giving provinces some control but also exercising itself. So the concurrent list, we used to have a concurrent list. It contained the phrase environment, pollution and ecology, which in other words allowed both the provinces and the federal government to make laws on the subject. That's how Parliament passed the Environment Protection Act of 1997. Next slide. The 18th Amendment, on the other hand, as I said, it's a long-standing answer to the demand of the provinces. It does away with the concurrent list. So now, the federal government can only make laws with respect to a list called the Federal List, and all other subjects are the legislative domain of the provinces. This is a radical reordering of the relationship. Someone once said that the 18th Amendment is one of the most significant legal, political, economic, social things ever to have happened in Pakistan, the effects of which will take years to understand. But this is a fundamental reordering. And the other thing I want to add here is that one of the only things that is immune to gravity or decentralization, I sort of look at decentralization as a pull of gravity, is power. Power does not decentralize or fall down itself. Bodies and institutions that have or have exercised power are loath to give it up. And so there is a tendency after the 18th Amendment for people to say, yeah, but the federal government has more capacity to do this. The provinces can't. You can't turn around after the most significant legal, political, economic, social event in history and say, yaar, galti ho gayi. You've got to say, something happened, and now the world is different, we're going to follow these rules. It's going to reorder the way we operate. So the 18th Amendment got rid of the concurrent list. Now, the subject of the environment is solely provincial. And only provincial assemblies can legislate on subjects that are not in the federal list. Next slide. So, yes, when the 18th Amendment happened, because environment was devolved to the provinces, the federal government was reorganized and more than a dozen different departments that used to be like the Ministry of Environment is a provincial subject. So the Ministry of Environment was actually abolished, along with a host of other departments. Ministry of Health, abolished. Agriculture, finished. These are decentralized. So I ask you, with the abolishment of the Ministry of Environment, there is no officer who is the secretary of that ministry. So there is no person under law who can convene a meeting of the National Biosafety Committee, which says that only the secretary of the Ministry of Environment can do so. This is, I'm not saying it's illegal, I'm just saying that this is the fine print of the 18th Amendment should have been observed, and the Secretary Ministry of Climate Change should have made the convener of the National Biosafety Committee. But these are the sort of fine points that lawyers make hefty fees on, and so I'm showing off. Next slide. So, how does the 18th Amendment change PIPA? Here's a big chart. It says that once the concurrent list is gone, all laws with respect to any of the matters, like environment was in the concurrent list, will continue to remain in force until altered, amended or repealed by a province. So the Environment Protection Act of 1997 will continue until altered, amended or repealed by a province. And that way, the 18th Amendment and Article 270AA provides a transitionary mechanism for provinces and laws to accommodate themselves after the 18th Amendment. Next slide. So, what happened in Punjab, all the provinces in Pakistan have passed their own environmental laws after the 18th Amendment, including the Punjab. And interestingly, in the Punjab, the Environment Protection Amendment Act of 2012 amends the Federal Act, so that means the Federal Act no longer operates in Pakistan. The amended Punjab legislation gives the government of Punjab the power to regulate international environmental agreements. Just like the old Federal Environment Act allowed the federal government to regulate international agreements, now the provincial government, by law, has given itself that responsibility. And amongst the list of international laws it can regulate is the Convention on Biological Diversity. And in further step of that, the government of Punjab has also passed the Punjab Biosafety Rules, which are a copy of the Pakistan Biosafety Rules, which set out the mechanism by which the province of Punjab will regulate GMOs. So what we have in law now are two regulatory mechanisms for the approval of GMOs. One is a National Biosafety Committee and one is a Punjab Biosafety Committee. And this is an overlap that's taken place because of the 18th Amendment. We have two agencies that can potentially approve any type of GMO. Next slide. This has resulted in a constitutional gridlock. This is a letter from the Ministry of Law, Justice and Human Rights from 2013. Around about then, the Ministry of Environment had written to the Ministry of Law requesting whether or not the National Biosafety Committee could convene after the 18th Amendment. I'll read the answer. The undersigned is directed to refer to Climate Change Division's Office Memorandum number something something on the above subject and to state that the subject of environment, pollution and ecology was born on entry 24 of the erstwhile concurrent legislative list in the 4th schedule to the Constitution, and through the Constitution 18th Amendment Act, the aforesaid Constitution of Islamic Republic Pakistan is still continuing as a valid law today to the extent of Islamabad Capital Territory, whereas in the provinces it stands transferred to them and they have the executive as well as legislative authority with respect to Environment Protection Act within their territorial limits. Since the mandate of the Federation regarding the Environment Protection Act extends to Islamabad Capital Territory only, it can very well administer the law within that territory. The issue at number 2, whether the Pak EPA can convene a National Biosafety Committee meeting under the NBC rules having members of the provincial EPDs and agencies, is answered in the negative. So the Ministry of Law then told the Ministry of Climate Change, you can't hold a National Biosafety Committee meeting. And this gridlock has kept the National Biosafety Committee from sitting and approving anything but the first generation seeds. This gridlock has prohibited the NBC from meeting and looking at other types of GMOs. Next slide. In 2014, there was news that the National Biosafety Committee was about to approve a host of GMO licenses. Now, because of the constitutional deadlock that I've explained to you, a Kisan rights organization challenged the approval in 2014, the GMO approvals of 2014, in the Lahore High Court. The Lahore High Court summoned the Director General of the Pak EPA to come to court and to answer the challenges raised in the petition. I'll read from the order. The DG Pak EPA has tendered appearance and submits that unless a proper framework is put in place, no licenses will be issued by the said agency. He admitted that after the 18th Amendment, the subject of environment stands devolved to the provinces, and the case of the petitioner that after the promulgation of the Punjab Environment Protection Act and Punjab Biosafety Rules, it falls outside the pale of the Pak Environment Protection Agency. He assures the court that unless proper constitutional or legislative amendments are brought about vesting the Pak EPA with the power to issue these licenses, no licenses will be issued. And I was the learned counsel for the petitioner, is satisfied with the statement. That was an understatement. I was absolutely flabbergasted at the statement. I was not expecting the DG Pak EPA to come and say, huh? Yes, absolutely. So that was...